2-0 then, the final score in Atlanta. Not too much trouble for Chelsea, though it was close until the final 10 minutes of the match. But the Blues do pick up all 3 points over LAFC. What does it mean for Group D? Well, Chelsea off to a good start with the victory over LAFC, who now have their work cut out for them. A reminder, the top 2 in this tournament will advance from each group. For more on this one, we welcome into the show Mario Melchiot, of course, ex-Chelsea player in the early 2000s. James Olley as well. He joins us from Atlanta, where this game was just played. Mario, I'll start with you. What did you think of the Chelsea performance here?
I think it was like, the game was, how will I say, I mean, the way they kicked off, I think they did really what they had to do, and you can see that it's the starting of the season because the way they played. But I think when you played against an LAFC team, I felt like it was, the game was decided by decision making. You know, both teams are trying to attack the game, but the difference was made in the options that you get and what kind of matches are you doing, you understand, playing the ball to somebody else. I think that was the biggest difference when you watch Chelsea, they try to penetrate and score goals. When you watch LAFC, sometimes they try to keep possession, and the reason is not always relevant behind it. And then away from that, I think Chelsea was also contributing to the striker situation, right? Because, I mean, Jackson, great assist, and then Dilap comes on and gives an assist too. Both are doing the similar kind of runs, you know, running behind the defense. That's what he wants, what was, you know, Maresca I'm talking about. So one of the key things for him was to see what is Dilap going to bring me. And for me, the most important for me as an individual, I was always watching them both because I wanted the competition to be there. And hopefully it will kick off this season for both players now to compete with each other. So you get the best striker for Chelsea.
James, I want to get your perspective on what Chelsea did over the last 90 minutes. You did see it live, but also curious your thoughts on the atmosphere. We've heard a lot of positive things about the Club World Cup to start off, but the crowd did not look great today in Atlanta.
No, it didn't. It's a fantastic stadium. I hope you enjoy the fact that I've provided you a service elevator as a backdrop for that fantastic stadium. Probably the worst view of this stadium you could have. But no, I mean, an incredible place to come and watch a game. It's just a shame more people didn't do it. I mean, look, we have some sympathy with the fact that it's a 3 o'clock local kickoff time on a Monday. People are at work. We could talk a lot about FIFA's ticketing for this tournament and the dynamic pricing. They slashed the prices. I checked actually on the way in today. They're $51 general admission here, which is way down from where these ticket prices were when the game was first announced. So they tried to get a crowd in late, but it was 21,000, I think, in here, which is not even a third full. So it was disappointing. It did kind of give it a bit of a pre-season feel. The roof was closed, which obviously made the players, kept them away from the heat. 30 plus degrees outside the stadium, so very warm day. But it was strange, and probably my enduring takeaway from this actually was seeing a man put an entire bowl of popcorn on a pizza as a topping. Mm-hmm. That got more of a reaction inside the stadium than anything that happened in the 90 minutes, I have to tell you.
Only at the Club World Cup, Stephen?
Well, it seems likely. Yeah. Or it seems like it, doesn't it? Disappointing.
You surprised the game was that close? I mean, it was 1-0 until 10 minutes to go. A competitive match between Chelsea and an MLS team.
Yeah, it was competitive. I think it was competitive because Chelsea in the final third weren't quite as clinical as they could have been. They certainly had. They spent a lot more time in LAFC's defensive third than the other way around. So, to be honest, the best team did win. Mm-hmm. LAFC stuck at it. As you said, they were competitive. And that's really all you could ask from LAFC. Because on paper, there's too much daylight, in all honesty, between the two sides. But LAFC did well to compete. That's what they did.
We got a good look at Liam Dilap in his debut. We also got a good look at Nicholas Jackson. James, what's your sense of how that competition is going to play out this season?
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting, actually, that Maresca made the point in his pre-match press conference that he feels that Dilap could be England's number 9, that he could go and rival Harry Kane. Obviously, to do that for England, he's got to be playing regularly at club level. And, he's got to really dislodge Nicol Jackson from that starting lineup. I think he's quite keen to sort of stress that the two are fighting each other for a place, that there's no guarantees. It's not that Dilap as the new boy is going to come in and start. But I thought what was quite interesting, actually, was when he did come on, there were a couple of moments, including for the second goal, for the Enzo Fernandez goal, where Palmer kind of drifted out to the right-hand side in that sort of favoured space, and he picked a pass from Dilap, who's just spun his marker and got in behind. And I sort of thought, yeah, I can see a pattern of play there. Happened a couple of times, as I say, once for the goal, where you sort of think, well, if he can develop that kind of understanding with Palmer, that's Jackson's probably his biggest strength. He presses very well off the ball, but he also has quite a good understanding with Cole Palmer, who is Chelsea's best player. If Dilap can replicate that or even develop a better understanding with Palmer, then that gives Chelsea a fluidity and a threat that Jackson probably can't match.
You see Dilap taking the job off Jackson, Stevie?
I think right now that there's nothing between them, quite frankly. And I think the fact that Jackson has played last season, most of the season when he was fit for Chelsea, means that for me he will be the #1 starter.
Really?
I don't.
Even the 30 minutes we saw today, you didn't see a difference in what Dilap made possible for those around him compared to what Jackson did?
No, I saw the two be doing exactly the same thing.
Well, but Dilap
You know,
did
the
it
only
half
reason,
time, Stevie.
the only reason that Dilap is going to get ahead of Jackson is if he starts scoring goals right off the bat, because that's the only problem with Jackson. His work,
It's a pretty
his
big
runs.
problem for your 9.
Sorry?
It's a pretty big problem for your 9 that
Well,
he
it
doesn't
is.
get goals.
Well, it is. Jackson misses.
That's why they brought in Dilap, right? I mean, if they were pleased with Jackson, they wouldn't have gone out and signed him.
Well, allegedly that's why I would think they brought in Dilap. But we don't know that Dilap is a goal scorer. If my memory serves me right, when I see Dilap scoring goals for Ipswich, it's running in behind into space, holding defenders off, and then putting the ball in the net, which is a good thing. But can he do it for Chelsea? So it's a different ballgame doing it for a side like Ipswich than it is when every time you step on the field, the pressure's on to finish. And I don't know yet whether Dilap is a better finisher than Jackson. And if Dilap can prove that, then absolutely he will start over Jackson. Because we know what Jackson is. Jackson's a hustle, bustle, running behind. Sometimes he'll take chances, sometimes he won't. You're not sure whether he will or he won't. All Dilap has to do, because clearly Dilap can do the other stuff that Jackson does, Dilap has to show that he's a better finisher. And if he does, when he gets the opportunity, then he will be the starter. But right now, Jackson is the starter.
Mario, you back Jackson to hold on to his job like Stevie?
Yeah, definitely. I think Jackson is going to start. And just what Stevie said, it just comes down to, like, you know, we've been talking about it, you understand, during the season already. If Jackson does the job that he has to do, then he keeps him away from him. If he doesn't do it, Dilap is going to get a chance. What kind of type of striker they went for? Okay, you have the speed, and of course you get the chances that Jackson don't always take. Okay, now he's in a different situation now because now he's got the competition. We got to see how he's going to handle that. And if he produces the things that we are looking for, you understand, as what you expect a Chelsea striker to do, then there's no problem. If there is the problem, you bring someone on that is prior to either one of them. You had strikers that normally could stand their ground, could hold the ball up, and could, you know, if the battle was on, you could put them there and they were ready to, you know, to handle that. Dilap can clearly do that. And now it comes down, okay, when he comes in, because like Steve said, Ipswich, playing for Ipswich, we cannot disrespect their club. No, of course we can't. But guys, we cannot compare Ipswich with Chelsea, because what you demand there in that stadium, when he comes on that field there, it's going to be totally different than what he had to do during the weekend at the other team where he was. So can he do that? Yeah, he can do that. He's young. He can develop himself. But one thing he has to be sure that he has to produce better than Jackson is going to do. We had a close eye, obviously, on Chelsea's 9s. We also had a close eye on Cole Palmer. Some good and some bad, Stevie. What did you make of his performance?
I'm afraid I've got to go with more bad than good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the miss is kind of the highlight, if you know.
I think the miss kind of sums up where he is right now. You know, had this been pre-Christmas of last year, that he would have been thinking, right, do I put it in that top corner, that bottom corner, and then deliver? As soon as he's made his mind up, pre-Christmas last year, that's what was happening. Since Christmas, too many giveaways, too many bad decisions, trying the wrong pass, getting opportunities, and the composure that he had has disappeared. And again, all you got to do is look at that chance he had today that went conservatively 10 yards over the crossbar from maybe 15 yards out at pace. That is complete and utter lack of composure, which is something that he had bundles of before Christmas. I mean, in the Premier League, after Crimbo, he's got, I think it's 3 goals and 2 assists. For the guy who's supposed to be the superstar of this Chelsea side, the guy who's supposed to be either scoring goals or making goals, but yet he's got 3 goals and 2 assists and 16 games in the second half of the season? He's struggling, in my opinion, right now, and they need to get him back, as I said, to the pre-Christmas Cole Palmer.
James, how much pressure is Cole Palmer under heading into this season?
Yeah, a little bit. And sort of to Stevie's point, actually, Maresca's just been in his press conference and talked about, he referred to a Cole Palmer interview that he gave after the Conference League final, when he talked about being bored of passing the ball sideways and backwards, and he just decided he wanted to try and do something in the final third, and he opened it up and he created the opening goal that night against Betis. And Maresca's just said to him, or he's told us that he's just said to Cole Palmer, the day after that interview, he said, well, you can do that from the first minute. Why don't you do it earlier? Why did you wait until the second half to get on the ball and try and make something happen? And I think it just speaks to maybe a bit of a confusion about the approach at the moment, about he's playing as the number 10 in this team. He is the main creative force. But there seems to be a little bit of a lack of clarity about exactly how he goes about that. Now, part of that will be, of course, because he's just got a new number 9 who's come in Liam Dilap. We've talked about that already. But also the wide players, Jadon Sancho's gone back to Manchester United. Chelsea decided not to take up the option to sign him. There's some speculation about Noni Madueke, whether maybe he could leave this summer. Pedro Neto's responded well today. They're trying to bring in Gittins from Borussia Dortmund. So they're clearly looking at a different kind of attacking force to start next season with. And maybe Cole Palmer's just a little bit caught between, as Stevie said, in the first half of the season, it was a little bit more settled, it was a little bit more fluid, and he could almost do it on instinct and impulse, whereas it almost feels as though at the moment he's maybe second-guessing himself, he's maybe not quite sure of the runs that those players are going to make ahead of him, and he's just not quite stitching it together as well as he had done. I mean, he's a top player, you can assume that that's going to come back again with time, but he has got to work through that at the moment, and he's going to have to do that sort of on the run, if you like, during this tournament.
Mario, he's a huge part of this Chelsea team. How confident are you that we're going to get back to the best of Cole Palmer, as Stevie says?
I mean, look, like players like that, they need the feeling good factor. And I think this is the begin. I think now we have to give them the time. Of course, okay, they didn't have the longest break because that is what Maresca too. He said like this tournament is very important for them. He wants them to win it. Of course, every club is going to say that. Why? Also because of the financial support and also everything that backs it. This because it can really leap you into starting a season of well. But when you look at Palmer, when the thing also happens to him is what Chelsea has to be really careful with, is that the football that they try to play and the creative side is all focused on him. And when everything is focused on one individual, sometimes when he loses rhythm, it becomes a problem then. And I think this is what Chelsea had last season. This season, I feel like I was also asking for the wingers to chip in and score goals. Okay, Neto did it today. So you want to see more of that. The more you see the wingers contribute, including the striker, it will help Palmer as well with his creativity. And I think that is going to be one of the things. He's a confident lad, so I don't expect him to really go down and feel like he cannot handle this kind of pressure. But it's definitely going to be asked. People want to see more every season when you are a star player. And he's that.
Real quick, Stevie, you think he does get back to that form you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's no question.
It's been a long time.
There's no question he's got talent. And people that haven't succeeded with the sort of talent he has was because of the mental side of the game. I think Cole Palmer has the ability, has the mental strength to come back. So, yeah, I do think it's a matter of time.
Cole Palmer and Chelsea 2-0 winners over LAFC. James, you're with Chelsea right now in Atlanta. What's next on your schedule and your travels?
Yeah, Philadelphia tomorrow. They've got, obviously, Flamingo there on Friday. So that's the next one.